I have been studying the woman question in the Soviet Union and in the Second International and the Third International. Now, Inessa Armand is very little known about, unfortunately. And what is known about her tends to be about her relationship with Vladimir Lenin. And she was rumored to be his lover, and that they lived together for some time, etc., etc. And there's in fact been whole articles written about whether they did or they did not have sex. For me, I think it's probably obvious that this really does not matter. Inessa Armand herself has a history that we need to know about. She was born outside of marriage, and then she was taken to Russia when she was 5 years old and lived with the Armand family, where her aunt, I believe it was her aunt, was the governess. She married one of the Armands, and she became politically aware in terms of working class politics when she began to visit factories with him and got to know the conditions of the women in the textile factories in St. Petersburg, and was appalled by what she saw. She joined the RSCLP in 1903, and that was the Labour Social Democratic Party in Russia. Unlike our Labour Party today, was actually a revolutionary party. Then in 1907, she was arrested, sent to internal exile, escaped, went to Europe. She meets Nadia Krupskaya and Lenin and becomes involved more closely in their work. And she becomes Lenin's right hand. The reason he chose her to lead many meetings in the period from 1908 until 1917 was because she was just so talented. She was a brilliant organizer, and she made very tenacious speeches. She was known to be somebody who never gave up on the arguments. In 1914, she and a number of others, both in Russia and in Europe, set up a journal called Rabotnitsa, which is Woman Worker. She's writing, as they all are, to ordinary women workers in Russia at the time, and she's describing what they're going through, and she's trying to inspire them to fight for the right to vote. And then she's also saying things like an 8-hour day will allow you to have fun in your life, to be able to go and do the things you want to do, and then finally to be involved in politics. So it's not dry, it's just really quite lively and engaging, and you can see how it would have had an effect on people. And indeed, Rabotnitsa was very popular, and it only lasted 6 issues before it was closed down. And when the first revolution took place in February 1917, it was relaunched because it had been so popular. In 1917, then, she went back to Russia on the sealed train along with Lenin and Krupskaya and all of those people in that famous, passage back. She became the first director of the Zhenotdel and created a number of organizations within it to draw women into the workplace, factory inspections and ways of getting them trained up in jobs and politically engaged. She worked herself tirelessly. The woman was just really exhausted, as they all were, from the workload and the kind of the tension and engagement throughout that period. She went to the Caucasus to recuperate and caught cholera and died in September 1920. And she was very much missed. And I would say her death left a huge negative impact on the ability of the women's movement to make progress.